The New Normal, written by Eli Roth. The pandemic hit me hard, lost my job at the factory, bills piled up, desperation set in. That's when I turned to food delivery. It wasn't much, but it was something. I spent my days weaving through traffic, my bike loaded with takeout. Each delivery was another day afloat. I never imagined it would lead me to this. The nights were the worst. Empty streets, strange shadows. The city felt different after dark, but I had a job to do. The pings on my app kept coming, each one a gamble. Little did I know one ping would change everything. The night started like any other, a chill in the air, the kind that seeps into your bones and makes you pull your jacket a little tighter. The city lights blurred as I navigated the streets, their glow reflecting off the wet pavement. The hum of the engine was the only sound breaking the silence. Another order came in. The restaurant was familiar, a greasy spoon on the edge of town. Its neon sign flickered, casting a red hue on the sidewalk. I'd been there countless times before. The order was simple, one burger, fries, and a shake. The cook, a grizzled man with a kind smile, nodded as he handed me the bag. Routine stuff. But something felt different this time, a prickling at the back of my neck, like I was being watched. I ignored it. I had deliveries to make. The city never sleeps, and neither do the people who keep it running. The address took me to a part of town I rarely visited. Old, run-down houses lined the street, their windows dark and foreboding. Dark alleys. The streetlights flickered, casting long, dancing shadows that seemed to move with a life of their own. I pulled up to the address, number 13. The number seemed to glow ominously in the dim light. An old Victorian house with peeling paint and overgrown weeds. It looked like it had been abandoned for years, yet here I was, delivering food. A wrought iron fence guarded the property, its gate creaking in the wind. The hair on my arm stood on end as I approached, the sense of unease growing stronger with each step. I checked the app again. The customer's name sent a shiver down my spine. M. Doe. An unsettling feeling settled in my stomach. Who uses initials like that? I tried to shake off the uneasiness. It was just another delivery. Get in. Get out. Simple. The house loomed over me, its windows dark and empty. I rang the doorbell, but only silence answered. I checked the app again. Leave at the gate. Odd, but not unheard of. I placed the order on the ground, the paper bag illuminated by the dim light of my phone. As I turned to leave, a sound stopped me in my tracks. A soft whisper, carried on the wind. Thank you. My heart pounded in my chest. I spun around, but there was no one there. Just the wind whistling through the trees. I tried to rationalize the whisper, the wind, my imagination, anything but the truth. But deep down, I knew better. The air felt heavy, charged with an unseen energy. I could feel eyes on me, watching from the shadows. My bike suddenly felt miles away. Each step was agonizingly slow. A cold sweat slicked my skin. Then, another sound. A low moan, coming from within the house. It was faint, but unmistakable. My blood ran cold. I broke into a run, my fear propelling me forward. I didn't dare look back. Not until I reached the relative safety of the streetlight. I glanced over my shoulder, my heart still racing. The house stood silent now, shrouded in darkness. I caught a glimpse of movement in a nearby window, a fleeting shadow that vanished as quickly as it appeared. I was shaken, my mind struggling to make sense of what I'd seen and heard. I needed answers. Down the street, a figure sat on a porch swing, illuminated by a flickering porch light. An old woman, her face etched with wrinkles. She watched me with a knowing gaze. "You shouldn't be here, child," she rasped, her voice barely a whisper. "That house, it hungers," I scoffed, trying to mask my fear. "Hungers for what?" I asked, my voice trembling. The old woman leaned closer, her eyes burning into mine. "For souls," she whispered. "Lost souls." Section 6. The Undertaker's Tale. The old woman's words echoed in my mind. Lost souls. She had warned me, but I didn't fully understand the gravity of her words until now. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was in serious danger. Every shadow seemed to move, every sound amplified in the silence of the night. I decided to seek refuge in a nearby bar, hoping to find solace in the company of others. The dim lights and the low hum of conversation offered a temporary escape from my growing paranoia. The bartender, a burly man with tired eyes, listened patiently as I recounted my experience. His face remained stoic, but his eyes betrayed a hint of concern. He poured me a stiff drink, the amber liquid doing little to calm my nerves. I could feel the weight of his gaze as I took a sip, the burn of the alcohol a stark contrast to the chill in my bones. "That house," he said, his voice low and grave. "It's been empty for years. Some say it's cursed." His words hung in the air, heavy with unspoken fears. He pointed to a man sitting alone in a dark corner nursing a beer. The man seemed to be lost in his own world, oblivious to the rest of the bar. "That fella there, the undertaker, he knows more about it than anyone." The bartender's voice was barely above a whisper, as if speaking louder might summon the very spirits he feared. The undertaker, a gaunt figure with haunted eyes, told me a tale that chilled me to the bone. His voice was steady, but his eyes revealed the torment of reliving the story. The house, he said, had been the site of a horrific tragedy. His words painted a vivid picture of the past, each detail more harrowing than the last. A family, murdered in their sleep. The image of their peaceful faces, forever frozen in terror, haunted my thoughts, their souls trapped within its walls. The undertaker's voice trembled slightly, as if he could feel their restless presence even now. "They're restless," he said, his voice raspy. "They seek peace, but they're lost." His words resonated with a deep sadness, a sorrow that seemed to echo through the ages. "They seek peace, but they're lost." The weight of his words settled over me like a shroud, the reality of the haunted house becoming all too real. Section 7. The Chilling Truth. The undertaker's words confirmed my worst fears. The whisper, the moan, the shadow. They were all real. I was trapped in a nightmare, and the house at 13 Raven Lane was at its heart. I had to escape, but how? The thought of returning to that house, facing whatever lurked within, filled me with dread. As if sensing my fear, the undertaker placed a reassuring hand on my shoulder. "There's a way to appease them," he whispered, his breath hot on my ear, "a way to set their souls free." He leaned in close, his voice barely audible above the murmur of the bar. "You must return to the house, child. You must finish the delivery." Section 8. Trapped. The weight of his words pressed down on me. Return to the house? Finish the delivery? It seemed like madness, but what choice did I have? I had stumbled into a world beyond my understanding, a world where the line between the living and the dead blurred. The night was colder now, the wind howling like a banshee. The house loomed before me, its windows like empty eyes. With each step I felt a growing sense of dread, a tightening in my chest that made it difficult to breathe. I reached the gate, its rusted hinges groaning like screams. I placed the delivery bag on the ground, my hands shaking uncontrollably. "I'm here," I whispered, my voice a mere tremor in the night. "I've brought your order." Section 9. A Haunting Reminder. A cold wind swept through the yard, rustling the leaves in the trees. The air was thick with an unsettling chill, as if the very essence of the place was trying to communicate something long forgotten. The yard, once vibrant with life, now stood as a desolate reminder of what had been lost. The house remained silent, but I could feel their presence, watching me, waiting. It was as if the walls themselves held memories of the past, whispering secrets to those who dared to listen. Every creak of the floorboards, every flicker of shadow seemed to be a message from the other side. The air crackled with unseen energy. It was a palpable force, making the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. The sensation was both thrilling and terrifying, a reminder of the thin veil between our world and the unknown. Then, as quickly as it had come, the feeling subsided. The wind died down, leaving an eerie calm in its wake. The sudden stillness was almost more unnerving than the previous chaos, as if the world was holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. The house stood still and silent once more. It was as if it had never been disturbed, a timeless sentinel guarding its secrets. The silence was deafening, a stark contrast to the earlier cacophony of sounds. Had it worked? Had I appeased them? The questions swirled in my mind, each one more pressing than the last. The ritual, the offerings, the whispered incantations. Had they been enough to satisfy the restless spirits? Or had I merely stirred them further? I didn't wait to find out. The sense of urgency was overwhelming, pushing me to leave before the house could claim me as its own. My instincts screamed at me to run, to put as much distance between myself and that place as possible. I turned and fled, my heart pounding in my chest. Each step felt like a race against time, a desperate bid for freedom. The fear was a tangible thing, driving me forward with an intensity I had never known. The encounter left me shaken, forever changed. The experience had etched itself into my very soul, a haunting reminder of the thin line between the living and the dead. I knew I would never be the same again. The world seemed different now, haunted by unseen forces. Every corner, every shadow held a new significance, a reminder of the encounter that had forever altered my perception of reality. The city lights no longer offered comfort, only the illusion of safety. The familiar glow that once brought a sense of security now seemed to hide more than it revealed, casting long, eerie shadows that danced in the night. I continued to make my deliveries, but I never forgot the house at 13 Raven Lane. Each time I passed by, a shiver ran down my spine, a reminder of the night that had changed everything. The house stood as a silent sentinel, watching, waiting. It served as a chilling reminder that some doors are best left unopened, some deliveries undelivered. The house at 13 Raven Lane was a testament to the unknown, a place where the past and present collided in a haunting dance. The memory of that night, and the chilling truth it revealed, would forever haunt my dreams. Each night as I closed my eyes, the events replayed in my mind, a never-ending loop of fear and uncertainty. The house, the spirits, the encounter, they had become a part of me, a haunting reminder